Hi guys, it's Anglos from JustStarTrek.com, and today I want to talk to you about what my favourite starship is. And just before I say what it is, I just want to quickly say that I will be running a series of videos about each and every one of the starships because I just think they're all great, especially the NCC 1701A, the Refit Enterprise, the Akira, all these great ships, the Prometheus, Voyager. But today I think my absolute favourite is the Enterprise E, which I don't think is too controversial of a choice. Basically, I describe this ship as sex on nacelles. We all know the expression sex on wheels. This is sex on nacelles. I can copyright that phrase as well. It was originally designed by John Eaves, who created many designs, but this one really stood out, and I just want to have a big thank you and big shout out to him for making such a great ship for all of us to enjoy. So just very quickly, a few specs about the ship. So it's just under 700 meters long. It originally had 24 decks, but then Captain Picard said it had 26 decks, then 29 decks, so we're not quite sure how many decks it really has. And also a manual steering column. Yes, indeed, this ship can be controlled with a manual steering column. I first saw the ship when the First Contact poster went up in my local cinema, and it was just the reverse of the ship, the rear of it, warping away from the Borg cube, and it just looked amazing. I just knew they got the design, at least from the rear, right. So I just want to run through very quickly some of the things that make this ship really special for me. The shape of the ship. It's got a pointed saucer as opposed to an elliptical one, and I think that is just a great aggressive looking look for starships, and it went on to be used as the model for future starships. So I think that was a really good template, shall we say. So yeah, awesome. It's just put simply, it's one sexy motherfucking ship. It is a gorgeous ship. It just looks great from any angle, from underneath, from the back, the side, the front, on top. It's just brilliant. It's just a very good looking ship. It's very sleek compared to what I feel is the cruise liner look of the Enterprise D. I know that could ruffle a few feathers, but I just felt that the Enterprise D didn't quite get its proportions right with its small little nacelles and quite a chunky Cobra neck. It wasn't quite my thing, whereas the Enterprise D is nice and slick all over. I also like the fact that there are different steps on the saucer to show the different decks, as opposed to just a nice smooth round thing. It's got a nice step design, which I think is a nice little design of the saucer. The colour of the ship, it's got nice Aztec detailing all right around. It's got a nice grey to it, which did change, funnily enough, from the 3 different films. And when we're first introduced to the ship in First Contact, and it's against a beautiful multicoloured nebula, and the way it just drifts across and then into full frame, I just think it's beautifully introduced to us in the film. The warp effect, first seen in First Contact, was so slick, and especially in Nemesis when it does a roll and then warps off with a little trail behind it. I thought that's absolutely brilliant. It's brilliant. It's designed for speed. The bridge itself, so inside the ship now, it had nice cool blue lighting around the bridge, and it was very nicely designed. It just looked like there was lots of stations there was lots of personnel manning it. It was a busy ship, it had to have people looking after it. It just looked really, really good. It also had a yellow deflector dish, which is slightly different from what had come before, whereas I thought perhaps blue would have worked better. I know it's a small little detail. The yellow still works well, it's different, it's fine, it works well with the Sovereign class. The engineering section, so I guess the engine room, was immense. It had 2 humongous antimatter injection tubes, shall we call them, and one was blue, one was red, and they worked really, really well, and it just looked awesome. And you had the great big engineering station where Geordi LaForge and others were at the time. It just worked really, really well. It even had force fields around the warp core during battle stations, although it didn't hold on for too long in Nemesis, so perhaps they need to work on that a little bit. The nacelles. Now the nacelles look very, very mean. I like them. They look like they're not mucking around. If they get hit, they're going to survive. They're not fragile looking. It's almost like they're armoured with the buzzer round scoops in the front there with their little protection thing on the front. Also, they're dynamic. It shows that there's something going on in the buzzer collectors. You know, it's not just a static red colour. Something's happening, which I think is great. And it looks like it can do warp point 99999 very, very easily. it looks like it means business. It looks like it's always ready for battle. It's always ready to take on anything that can be thrown at it, and I think that's a great testament to John Eaves' design. And also, it's the first time we saw quantum torpedoes being fired in First Contact against the battle against the Borg. It's like, what the hell are these white things coming out of it? These aren't photon torpedoes, and it looked like it made a massive difference in the battle. So we were like, whoa, quantum torpedoes, how cool is that? So yeah, awesome. Just want to run through very quickly the films that it was featured in. So originally it debuted in Star Trek 8, and that was the last time a physical model was shown of the Enterprise E, which I think was a real shame, because it's a beautiful model which stood up to extreme close-ups, especially when they went for the spacewalk to the deflector dish. And basically, I want that model. If anyone's got it, I'm more than happy to buy it. There's no problem. Star Trek 9, a little bit poor CGI, which is a shame for Star Trek. They didn't use ILM for some reason. If anyone in the comments wants to tell me why ILM wasn't picked to do the CGI, and it made the ship look, everything looked a little flat. It didn't look like it was popping enough. It didn't look real, especially with the shuttlecraft chasing. And then finally in Star Trek Nemesis, the ship had a minor refit to accommodate the battle it had with the Scimitar. It had a minor refit with more phaser banks and torpedo tubes added for dramatic effect, and it worked hard. It worked hard in that battle, and it was awesome seeing the Enterprise in full flight, ready to have an awesome battle. And then at the end of Nemesis, it's a little bit disappointing because it was being repaired in space dock, but we never really saw it leave space dock. It did show in deleted scenes how the new commander was being introduced to Captain Picard, with a little inside joke there between him and Riker, and the fact that they had new seatbelts being installed for the bridge crew, which I guess was long overdue. But it's a little bit of a damp squib of an ending for such a beautiful ship. We never saw the Enterprise E in action again, and I hope maybe in the future we will, but you never know with these things. So I'm going to do a whole series of my favourite ships, so please subscribe for future videos. Please comment below your thoughts. Perhaps you agree with me, perhaps you don't. What is your favourite ship and why? Follow me on Twitter on Just Star Trek, and live long and prosper.